Hello, everybody. Sergey here. Welcome back to Sellerscale Show, where we bring in experts from the Amazon space to help you bridge the knowledge gap about Amazon and hopefully increase your odds of success. Our guest today is Keith O'Brien. He's the founder of Page One Agency, which is a full-service Amazon agency that helps Amazon businesses grow. We'll be discussing all sorts of stuff, mainly focused on digital marketing and Amazon, whether it's too late to get into Amazon 2020, the strategy to launching an Amazon business today, and whether off Amazon or influencer marketing are suitable for growth. Keith, it's nice to have you.
Thank you very much for having me, Sergey.
Awesome. Let's start off. Do you mind sharing with the audience how you got off into the Amazon FBA marketing space and possibly online business in general?
Sure. Yeah, so let's just keep around Amazon because I'm a bit older than you, right? So
Okay.
if I go back through all of my history, we're going to be here a minute, right? But we started around the Amazon space, I guess, call it about 5.5 years ago.
Okay.
A business partner of mine founded a company called I Love to Review. If you've been around for more than 3 or 4 years, and you probably knew that company. I partnered in and then ended up taking over that company about 6 months later. And that was the first to market product review company in the space, right? So we really built that whole business around an FBA option for how Amazon did buying. And I think right after we launched, a few more launched after that, and then they were everywhere, right? It was, but anyway, that's how we got started in the space. And then when the big review Armageddon came down in 2016, we closed the doors of that company and opened up an agency. So that's how we. Go ahead.
Yeah, could you elaborate on the services that your agency currently offers to sellers?
Sure. So when we finished that first company, like one of the things that was always really frustrating is, I mean, we could drive. That was back in the good old days, man. We could put 500 compliant reviews on a product in a couple of weeks, right?
Right.
But what was frustrating was we were sending all those reviews and the products that were good, but their listings were awful, right? 5 years ago, there just wasn't nearly as much content available in terms of how to do it correctly. And so we said, all right, well, how can we serve sellers in this space? We had thousands of clients all over the world. So we started off with content optimization. We launched our photography and design team shortly after that.
Right.
We launched our advertising management team shortly after that. And then last year, we launched our brand management team. So, we have clients that'll come in and, we're just updating listings for them, content, keywords, copywriting, that kind of thing. Some we just do their A+ content. Some we are updating all the photography across their catalog. They've been on Amazon a while. And some we just run advertising for, and then some we manage the entire business.
Right. So it depends on the case-by-case basis. And I mean, we had a bunch of guests that run their own agency on the podcast. And I mean, there's so many agencies on the market, yet your cases, and I actually went through some of your case studies, they look amazing. So I wonder, what's your key point of differentiation among all these agencies in the space?
I think that there are a lot of agencies. There's very few agencies that cover the breadth of what we do.
The broad spectrum.
Yeah. So almost no agencies that manage full-time or run advertising. Almost none of them do photography. Right. Now we end up about a third of our business is actually with other agencies. So another agency most agencies run the advertising and they might manage the brand, right?
Right.
So that means they're going to do content, advertising. Almost all of them outsource photography. A lot of them outsource content. A lot of them outsource content overseas. A lot of them outsource the advertising overseas, right? So, we're all of our team leads are in-house in Florida. We have tons of contract staff work with us, but our content teams and writers, they're all in the US. So I think bring that to a close. Like, we get all the pieces, and how the
Hmm.
pieces really are so important to fit together, making it, because it's all about, you know, can we get a visitor? Can we keep them there long enough to take some action? And that all those things work together, from the content to the images to the storyline of the content, to the A plus, to who you're targeting and advertising. And so
Right.
that's what's unique about us.
Okay, so basically the customer, your client, the seller, doesn't have to go and hire a bunch of agencies. They can come to you, and you're basically offering a full service. That's cool. And one question before we get practical about marketing on Amazon. You probably get this one a lot, but I really think that it's really important that new sellers hear this, because it's a question on everybody's mind. Is it too late to start selling via Amazon FBA in 2020?
I think it's too late to start selling on Amazon in 2020 if you're looking to make a quick buck and
Hmm.
be in and out, like, hit it and quit it kind of thing.
Right,
Um, you know, like I said, like 5 years ago, you could really put almost any product up, and if you did a few things right, you'd make money.
right.
That's definitely not the case anymore, right? It's not even enough anymore just to differentiate, visually your product, right?
Uh-huh.
So you got to do all of the things well, right? And you've got to do them for a consistent amount of time, right? So, if you've got a long-term vision on the business, and you can get to a place this year, build on it, and get to the place next year, build on that, then by no means is it too late, because 90% of any of the sellers in any category are going to be different next year, right?
Right.
90% are going to flush out, 80% are going to flush out. There's going to be just as many, but most of them are brand new, right?
Right.
Um, and unfortunately, the time that we're in with the coronavirus, the next couple of months, there's going to be a lot of people that just hang it up and just say, I'm done. I'm gonna.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you have a lot of people staying at home and they're figuring things out, and they're just they're googling in a passive income, remote work, and they see the Amazon
100%.
FBA opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's with any challenge, it's going to kind of fleece the market, right? So when
Right.
things get harder, some people just don't want to do it, right? But when things get harder, it actually creates a more of a barrier to entry, and that's actually good, right? So uh, um, generally speaking, it's just the field's just kind of leveled a little bit, right?
Right.
Uh, Now than it was a number of years back.
So the takeaway, if you're not serious about it, don't get into Amazon FBA.
But that should be a good piece of advice, no matter what it is, right?
Right.
So if you don't really like your girl, you shouldn't be in a relationship, right?
Definitely.
If you
Definitely know
don't
that.
actually want to lose weight, then you shouldn't start at the gym, right? So
Right. Right. Right.
yeah.
Okay, well, turning our conversation into marketing and digital marketing on Amazon, could you talk to me in any depth you want? What's the anatomy of a great product listing on Amazon? What key factors influence the buyability of a product looking
Mm.
at a listing?
That's a big question, right? So it's a very big question. So I just did this talk recently, and I think there's two places that you you first got to win the click, and then you got to win the sale, right? So
Right.
you almost have like I call it like your search results conversion, right? So you got all these eyeballs looking at you, and you're competing with those 16 or 48 other listings to win the click. So there's a handful of things that are going to influence that, right? Like what your product looks like, the price, the star rating of your reviews, the number of reviews you have to an extent, um, the first main image, right? Your title, right? These are, and then where you are in rank, right? So like where you end up in the ranking has a lot to do with, the percentage of those that are going to click on you, right?
Right.
So, so those are kind of like those kind of core grouping. All of those are under your influence, right? Are all going to influence whether or not you win the click, right?
Right.
And once they're on your page, now it's a whole different story. So it's like if the winning the click is top of funnel, right? Now they're on your page, it's middle of funnel, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this is where all the work that you really do, It's understanding who your customer is so you can speak directly to them. It's understanding what problems your product solves so that you can dig into the pain points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and everyone wants to talk about what their product does, and that's important, but really people just give a shit about what it does for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, uh, so and then it takes all the things that influence middle of the funnel is your copywriting, your the rest of your image stack. Does it tell a cohesive story? Your A plus design, do you use the images in A plus to get in front of any objections that people may have? Do you handle anything that might be more difficult about your product, like you need to
Right.
put together, what do you get, what kind of Q&A do you get on your listing? If you can solve that in the listing, it's better, right?
Right.
So yeah, as a cohesive all the way through, and then all you using all the little features, like right now we can't, but like, do you have a coupon on it? Do you have all these middle of the funnel things? They're on the page. Can you keep them there long enough to add to cart?
Can you say that buying a customer, buying a buy, basically, winning a buy is easier or more difficult than buying a click on the product listing?
Um, no, I would think that. I mean, if you look at your, impressions to click rate,
Right.
I mean, they're abysmal compared to your conversion rate of your listing. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that, once you get someone on your page, depending on the cost of your product and the marketplace and stuff, you're going to convert a decent percentage of the time, right?
Right.
So much harder to get the click originally.
And to win the click, probably your image and your title are the two most important things, right?
I would say that these would be almost equally important. First image, title, price of the product, star rating on your reviews, and as long as you have over a certain number of reviews, those are probably I would say the biggest.
It's actually great that you brought that up because I think that the biggest problem of new sellers or sellers selling a new product is getting those first reviews. What's the strategy behind getting those first reviews when you're just building sales history?
Yeah, I think first of all, I'm coming out like, the old company, we generated 30,000 reviews a month when it was all shut down. So
Mm-hmm.
um, and I will say, looking back now, that we created a lot of the demand, right? So
Right.
I think that yes, reviews definitely help. Yes, reviews will change your conversion rate. Yes, reviews will make your advertising perform better, and you'll be able to spend less to get the same results. But it should never be something that stops you from going forward in your business. So we launch products all the time. We don't do any black hat stuff or even gray hat stuff. We launch them through very specific PPC pricing and review model. So we sign everyone up for early reviewer program. We're going to, do the inserts in a product. We're going to do follow-up emails, and we just realistically try to drive sales, right? So reviews come when sales volume is good.
Okay, so your advice is not to focus on reviews per se, but focus on the sales, on the business, and if your product is good, reviews will come.
Do all the things that you need to do. Put all the things in place. Early reviewer, insert, follow up, all the core basic stuff that's not going to get you banned and kicked off,
Right.
and just drive sales.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Can you use reviews as market research? For example, looking at
Sure.
competition reviews and just, I don't know, categorizing by bubbles and seeing what pain points people have with different
Yeah,
products.
100%. I mean, I would think that most people that are doing product research for their own brand, when they get into identify a niche, if they're not going through the reviews and the Q&A, like that's the good stuff. That's the holy
Right.
grail of it. Like, it
Right.
doesn't matter what you think about your product or if it's a great idea. Get into what the heads of what people are actually saying about it. And most people, I think, are taking that and looking at all the things that people hate about other products and making that stuff better with theirs, and then diving into that. But I think what people forget to do is then tell people about that stuff for like inside of the listing. So you've just
Right.
solved all these pain points, you
Right.
know, or your product compared to the others, and you can't name them, but you don't have to, right? If you've solved 5 known issues of this product and you don't have a comparison of competition, leading competitors to your own brand on your images, like how dumb is that? Like you just you just spent all the time creating it and doing all this hard work. You got to make sure people know about
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And kind of going from that, it seems to me that a lot of interviews in our space, they talk about Amazon ads, PPC, focus a lot on reviews and increasing organic rank. But I'm curious to know whether an off Amazon marketing, and it can be social media, content marketing, whatever, right? Facebook ads is a good strategy for Amazon sellers, and especially for beginning Amazon sellers, because I can understand when an established brand wants to diversify and have like several sales channels. But for someone who has a business and selling like 500K per year, should they focus on off Amazon marketing, such as product inserts?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, look, I think that the answer could be yes or no, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm a big fan when it comes to business. Like you got to learn the core fundamentals, right? And you want to learn the core fundamentals of the marketplace that you're selling. So uh, if you uh, if you haven't really got on top of your own Amazon PPC, you probably shouldn't be messing around with Facebook advertising, right?
Right.
You're probably going to spend more money unless that's your background, right? If you've got a social media or Facebook or digital marketing background, then literally have at it. Figure out the things you need to do. If you can drive sales with good conversion off Amazon, you've got an arrow in your quiver that most people don't have, right?
Right.
Um, and so yes, you should exploit that advantage as much as you possibly can. If you're brand new to digital marketing, you're just learning Amazon and you're doing this maybe 10 hours a week as your side hustle, you got plenty to do, right? So, get your business going, crank it up to where you have some profit, maybe, outsource to somebody that has an expertise in that. Uh, Unless you are just that person that really can dive into something, learn it really well, and then get to a point of proficiency quickly. But yeah, super high value if you can do it well. Super big waste of time if you don't do it
Right. Well, makes sense. And
well.
as you said, with other aspects of life as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's never a shortage of shiny objects in this space, right?
Right.
But, and there's always something else that you could do and spend your time in. And only so many of them are actually really valuable, right? Do
Right.
they increase your conversion? Do they increase your traffic? Do they make sales, right? Everything
Right.
else is kind of background noise.
Do you see a lot of your clients in particular using influencer marketing to boost sales on Amazon?
Not a lot of our clients particularly. I think that is an area that can be like done well, can be great, but most people just it's a black hole time suck, right?
Right.
There are some platforms out there that help you make the job easier,
And
but
why is it a black hole? People don't understand how to do that, or why?
well, I think it's a little bit like when people used to do friends and family to get reviews, right?
Right.
You put this group of 30 people together. These are all your closest friends and family.
Yeah.
They buy your product. You send them a coupon, and like 3 people leave a review, right? And you're like, these are my family. Why aren't like you chasing them down? You're texting them, right? So, I mean, take that to an influencer market that you have no relationship with. I mean, almost everyone that's gone down this path has the experience. They send someone product, this person disappeared.
Yeah.
They don't respond. Oh, I never got the product. Can you send another one? So it's yeah, yeah. It can be, and if you hit it right, we do have a handful of clients that's the biggest part of their business, right? But
Right. Right.
most people that do that well, they've built their kind of social presence right around
Hmm.
this community niche. and then they find influencers that fit into that community.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a two-prong attack that works really well.
Right. So you're not using influencer marketing as it is. You're basically building a social community of your own, and then adding influencer marketing to that, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, look, I think everyone's got their own little niche and strategy. I mean, us as an agency, we're Amazon only, right? But
Okay.
we do have clients that they've done well that
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Actually read on your LinkedIn, and you say if it isn't growth you're after, we can generally help you better leverage your time so your ROI increases. And when I read that, I wonder in what ways can a seller increase their decision ROI? Meaning spend less time, but make more impact when it comes to running an Amazon business. What are some of the common things like low-hanging fruit that sellers can benefit from in this respect?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a couple different types of mentality when it comes to a brand owner. You've
Hmm.
got the person that is always going to do everything themselves, the DIY guy, right? And there's no judgment on any of these different descriptions, right? That's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
who we are, right? So you got
yeah.
the DIY guy. They're never going to outsource anything, never going to, pay anyone to do anything related to their business, right? Other than
Right.
who they have to. And then you've got the kind of part-time DIY guy, right? Like they're like, all right, this advertising, this PPC thing is not my thing. I want to focus on this, and this, right? I like branding. I like being the creative guy. I'm going to do the packaging and all this kind of stuff. And then there's the guy that says, I want to actually own a business, right? I don't
Mhm.
want to be the operator. I want to be a business owner. And they may start doing everything themselves, but their plan is I'm going to outsource piece after piece after piece until really my whole business is everything outside of product sourcing and the brand design is under management, right?
Right.
And uh, again, nothing wrong with any of those things, right? The third one's the most expensive. You're going to pay the most out of your business. The
Yeah.
first one's going to be the most expensive in terms of your time, right?
Right.
So it
But it
just
depends
depends
on
on
what you have more, money or time, right?
correct, or it really depends on where you want to be in a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So if your goal is to exit, then at some point, you can exit any kind of those businesses. The DIY guy can exit, the middle guy, the outsource guy. The marketplace for who will buy it is going to be vastly larger on someone that's got their business under management, right?
Right.
Because now you've got someone, again, markets in the toilet at the moment, but someone who's, semi-retiring at, 55, and is leaving the corporate job and are looking to buy a business, and they're looking to buy a business between, say, 1 and 3 million, right? That guy does no background in Amazon, right? So to
Right.
come in and buy a business that's mostly under management is really attractive because it's spitting out profit with already, right? And
Right.
they have to go in and figure out how to keep their PPC going or all these other things, right? So
Right.
yeah, it just depends on what the end game is.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if you are the third type, and you probably see this a lot. I mean, when businesses come to you and they ask you for advice on how they can improve their decision ROI, their time ROI, right?
Sure.
What are some of the common things you see in this aspect?
Um, Time ROI. So give me an example. So I think that it's easy to get into kind of rabbit holes on a number of things, right? So
Hmm.
I think it's easy to tinker a lot with your listings, and if you don't really like, you gotta have a little bit of patience on Amazon as well, right? So there's an attribution window on advertising. You got to get enough sessions through something before you change it again. And so many people are tinkering through this stuff constantly, like they have no idea what they did to actually make the change in the result, right? So
Right.
I think having a little patience on your optimization of your
Hmm.
listing is something that'll
Not
really,
tweaking too many, right?
yeah, if you go into your listing and you change more than one thing, like how do you know what did it? Like how do you know what
Okay.
made the difference, right? So if you update your title, then you change all your bullets, and then you change your description, yes, maybe you got a better result, but what was
Right.
the real
Right.
lever? What was the catalyst, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's a big one for sure.
Awesome. Well, Keith, I have one last question for you. It's actually a classical question that we ask almost every guest. Um, it's actually a question from Peter Thiel's book Zero to One. Contrarian question.
I'm feeling
So,
the
what is your
pressure.
contrarian view that goes against the commonly accepted notions in the industry? Basically, what truth do very few people agree with you on?
Wow, that is a question I wish I
Yeah,
would have
that's a
read
big one.
before the. I thought you were gonna go with like, dude, boxers or briefs or something. You know, uh, you know. Uh, uh, let's see, let's see, let's see. Mm, 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 mm. All right, so I think that uh, so I think I think branding is overrated on low price point products, right?
Okay.
So I think I don't know if that's contrarian, but you know, uh, I think there's a lot of conversation around, oh, you got to build a brand, you got to build a brand, you got to build a
Right.
brand,
Right.
and sure, right? But I think that is helpful, but I think most businesses that are making under 500,000 a year or under 1 million a year are generally never going to get to the benefit of a brand, right?
Right.
Um, I think we have a lot more ego and a lot more value in our
Yeah.
brand
Yeah. Yeah.
than what is really it's worth, right?
Right.
So, yeah, so I think that is probably something that I would say, uh, even though I run an agency and we do creative work, right? Like, unless you're really gonna push it to the point where you get a return on that brand value, you probably spend less time and money and get to a better ROI without it.
Right. Just focus on what works, basically. Right.
You can still sell a ton of product without a brand, right?
Right, right. And what do people mean when they talk about brand? I mean, like, it's not only brand registry, right? It's like general brand awareness and content
Yeah, it's
marketing and all.
branding. It's like this, look, I think that there's a lot of value in it. And don't get me wrong, uh, I think it's important, right? And everyone thinks they're going to build this huge company when they first
Yeah,
start.
absolutely. Nobody
Yeah,
starts a small company,
yeah,
right?
but realistically, if this is your side hustle, like this, the story is more important, like the design and all this
Right,
stuff.
right, right, right.
We've seen, you know, some of the ugliest websites produce the most revenue, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you just gotta figure out what works for you, what's enjoyable. Try not to get sweat all the minute details and just get it going in a direction.
Love that. I actually think that's quite contrarian.
Okay,
Thanks for that, Keith.
all right,
So where can people learn more about you and your business?
sure. So uh, for me personally, LinkedIn's probably the best place. I think it's /Keith B. O'Brien. And then company wise, we're at page.one. So not page1.com, but if you type that in, we come up anyway, but page.one.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks again, and hopefully see you soon.
Cheers. Thanks so much, man.